meeting to order, and I do certify we have a quorum. All 5 members are present. Agenda item 2, opening prayer by Pastor Martha Hagan Smith of Whaley Methodist Church. That will be followed by our pledges, led by Commissioner Hollowell. Would everyone rise, please?
Let us pray. Father God, open our eyes to see the beauty of the world as you designed it and see it. Open our hearts that we may have compassion for all people and know one another as siblings, family of humankind made in your image to be a blessing. We pray for our city, our leaders, all those that are gathered here this day working to make this county better. Pour out your wisdom so that the work done today might make a difference in this community. Guide us all to become gracious learners, to continue to create opportunities and spreading hope in this community. Help us to act with character and conviction. Help us to listen with understanding and goodwill. Help us to speak with charity and restraint. Find each one of us in the noisiness of what passes for political debate, that we're not only leaders but also servants, and as such, it is our responsibility to serve for the common good for all. For we are all stewards of your authority, O God. May the work done here today help transform our city through the power of your grace and mercy, and all God's people said, Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Item number 5, public comments on agenda items. Anyone sign up?
No, sir.
No one. Item 6, the consent agenda. The consent agenda includes non-controversial and routine items that the court may act on with one single vote. The judge or a commissioner may pull any item from the consent agenda in order that court discussion and act upon it individually as a part of the regular agenda. Any questions or concerns with the consent agenda?
Yeah, let's pull T and U. T as in Tom, U as in under. Anybody got any others? I'll make a motion to approve the rest of the consent agenda.
Have a motion to approve the rest of the consent agenda, less T and U, by Commissioner Clement. Second. Have a second by Commissioner Snuggs. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, 5-0. Okay, let's look at T.
So they're just going to rebuild the road to your specs,
Yes, sir.
and you're going to monitor it?
And then ultimately I'll chip seal it.
Okay.
Yes, and then ultimately we'll do the chip seal.
They're going to rebuild it this winter?
I'm sorry?
They're going to rebuild it this winter?
Yes, sir.
That goes to the winery out there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I was just curious. You know, there'd be no sense in having an engineer look at any of that since it's on one of your regular roads. We have new roads engineered, but since that's an existing road.
Yeah, and it'll exceed the current construction.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
he's gonna prep ditches, replace culverts.
Gonna do the whole thing?
Yeah.
How long is that road?
About 2 miles,
I'm wondering that.
about a mile on each one, about a mile down 106. And for those folks that don't know where 106 is, if you've ever been to downtown Dexter.
Is that considered downtown?
Yeah.
It didn't take long.
East and west 106 runs from Walnut Bend to 901.
Well, that looks like a good deal to me.
Not all the 106 now is in Cooke County. And this will actually start at Dexter and go west to County Road 125 and then south on 125.
Then we can just go to you and then approve them both at the same time. That's the Horseman's Ranch, right?
Yes, it
Didn't that come up a couple of years ago? Is this finally finishing that all up?
That's what it's doing.
Is that what it is? It's just a
This
continuation.
subdivision was created probably, 12 or 14 years
It's
ago.
an old subdivision.
And they created roads, done a fine job, but they didn't request approval initially, just an oversight. And so here it is, 7, 8, 10 years later, so 12 years. I asked them to go resurface them before we accept them.
That's what the story was. I thought we had this in court, heck, maybe 3 years ago.
Well, they resurfaced it then, but we said, hey, it has to last for a year, and it didn't, so they've got a different contractor and surfaced it. So this is the
This is the third,
time.
this is the third
The
new.
third time's the charm, so.
I've had my eyes on them, they're real nice.
Did-
so.
Okay. That's the rest of the story. I was wondering about that.
You have seen it before.
Yeah, I thought so. I didn't think it was anything new, but I wasn't,
Yeah.
not new. All right.
And,
How many miles does that total up to?
two total, I think, just about.
Yeah, it's
two.
11,000 and some
11,000 feet, 11,776 feet.
And you're happy with it?
It's one main road going through the heart of it, and roads coming off, so you've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy with it, yeah.
Move to approve, TNU.
Second.
I have a motion to approve consent agenda items T and U by Commissioner Clement, seconded by Commissioner Hollowell. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, 5-0. Item number 7 on the consent agenda, deliberate and consider possible actions regarding proposed weight station on I-35. Are we ready for folks to Zoom?
I just got a message from the Highway Patrol, they said they'd be on at 10:15.
10:15.
We moved too quick.
So we're a little ahead of schedule.
Well, we can go back and talk about your road some more,
Let's go on to 8,
if you want to.
Yep.
Eight
go
might
back when we
We'll
need to.
come back to it.
Or one of the others, if you think 8 may take too long.
take, eight might take just a few minutes.
It might
That's
take a
okay.
little bit. I don't think.
You want to skip 8 and go to 9?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll go to number 9, deliberate and consider possible approval of replacing boiler at the county library. Have anybody here to talk to it?
Rick not coming?
I guess he's not. I'll talk to it then. As I understand it, the problem, and it's persisted now for 4 years, according to Rick, is the pilot light blows out. Now, they have worked on that numerous times, and they think it is much better now than it has been previously. But it was in the budget to take a look at in this fiscal year. However, my personal opinion is I don't think we need to change out a boiler system at $25,000, $30,000. I think we need to continue to figure out what we need to do in order to make the pilot light stay on. But that's the bottom line, is that the pilot light doesn't stay on. We do, Shelley, have money earmarked for this. The
Is it the
boiler
original?
functions fine, it's just a pilot light issue.
It says 535.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the original boiler that was in that building,
It
probably?
is, 1962 model.
But he thinks this time he's repaired it and it's better than in the past.
He said the last 2 windstorms, it did not blow out.
Boy, you'd think it's some way to keep wind out of it. Wind's the issue. There's
I
a
haven't-
vacuum, something going on.
I haven't looked at it personally, I plan to.
Yeah. I'd move to take no action on it for now. We'll put it back on if we need to later.
Yep, that works for me. That, do we,
Okay, no action on item number 9. Item number 10, deliberate and consider possible action.
Do we need a vote on or no action? Okay. I'm sorry.
No, we don't. Unless anybody takes exception to the no action. Deliberate and consider possible actions regarding Main Street lot. I don't have any update on the lot. Anyone else have anything to add to it?
No, just when would we do something? That's all I want to know.
Yep. We do have a bid proposal, a bid book now, or we have a quote to get a bid book for that lot. It was $20,000, as memory serves me. We're still waiting for 2 others to give us input. Did we receive anything last week, Kathy? Okay. There's 2 others that we're waiting on information from.
Okay.
As far as a bid book is concerned. Once we get the bid book, I'll put it on the agenda and we'll pass those out, or the bids for a bid book, and take a look at it.
All right.
Item number 11, so item number 10 is no action also. Item number 11, deliberate and consider possible actions regarding the Crest Building. Anybody have any input on the Crest Building?
Well, from our approved list of engineers, Icon Engineering, they offer, I want to say, plumbing, electrical, architectural services, structural, everything. They can come in and look at our wish and our dream of how to move doors and add doors, and they can address the bathroom situations and everything. They can do it all for us, so it's going to be a one-stop shop for the next step once they clean them.
Yeah, they have their own architectural side, Shelley.
You can hire an architect without going out for
I know,
RFQs.
I understand, but they are one of our approved engineering groups besides for,
Yeah,
and so we already have a working relationship with them,
Yeah.
I think is where you're going.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So,
And,
and they're local too.
We could,
They give me any idea on how much money to do this assessment?
No, that would be the next step, to give them a drawing and let them throw
Beat it up, mark it
an
up.
estimate our way.
we got to get them in there just to even look at what's there and what we talked about.
Yeah, we just wanted to be able to, we needed to vote to move forward with that, get it talked about today.
Need to get
I
a
don't know if
price and then go from there. We'd kind of like to know.
Vote on it, there's no money being
I
expended.
don't know if we need to have a vote on that officially. I think we can just go out and get them like we do when we work on a subdivision.
I would recommend that you get a rough estimate of what.
Now, before we hire them, we.
Right, yes, for sure.
Yeah, that's all I'd
But the
ask.
point is to talk about it in here before we go off and do it.
That way everybody knows what steps we're taking.
Yeah, everybody knows what's
usually
going on.
architect fees are 8 to 10%.
Total bill.
You're not supposed to hire them based on
Right, right. My thought was with them just being the one-stop shop. You get the ball rolling at least.
Sounds like a good idea to me.
That's what we'll do then. I'll set up a meeting with them and get
Yeah.
that going.
Okay, thank you for the update. No action on item 11. Deliberate and consider possible, well, we're at 13 after. Can we see if there's anybody calling in on the Zoom line yet?
It should show up on the screen.
Okay, well, we'll give them a couple of minutes before we move on to another agenda item.
We got TxDOT and DPS zooming in, or is Mike TxDOT?
Mike's Tech Stop.
Mike's TxDOT.
Mike is
Good
text
hands.
dots. Are you disappointed? Did you want some other text dots?
Well, usually there's folks show more enthusiasm. Mike's kind of just, here it is.
He looks enthusiastic to me. Look at that.
He's not going to sell you anything.
No, Mike's been very helpful. In fact, he was pretty enthusiastic about it.
Bowlesby said he'd let them know, make sure everybody's ready to go.
Actually, Mike said we could probably get it done in the next year.
Yeah.
I'll keep my culvert comment to myself.
Oh, I already told him I've got it in.
Well, no, I was gonna say, we'll probably get it in next year if we're not depending on you to put any culverts in.
That's right.
I tell you what, while we're waiting on them, I have a few questions, and you guys may also for Mike, and if you can't answer them, Mike, we fully understand that too. But one of the concerns was, and I know that you told me previously that TxDOT had earmarked a couple of $1 million to reinforce the access road and the frontage road, I believe, in order to accommodate a station should the county decide they wanted to partner in that venture.
Let's get Mike up to the podium, please. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, Mike, messing with you like that, but
Our concern is, and we, in fact, I was down by Guadalupe and took pictures of theirs as well, is that the surface where the trucks would be parking, waiting, could that area be something other than concrete? Could it be 6 inches of rock temporarily until we get it in for next fiscal year's budget if we wanted to move forward relatively soon. Could the building be a portable? I noticed that in Guadalupe, I have some pictures. I stopped there and spoke with them for a second. They had a portable building. In fact, they even had a portable outhouse. So I guess our question is how much is directed by TxDOT that has to meet specific specifications before operations start? Do we have anything of that nature, or is it kind of case by case?
Well, it'd be case by case, but, realistic, what TxDOT's doing right now is based on, the future plans to maybe put in a full-time weigh station.
Right.
Is we're going to go ahead and increase the thickness of the concrete paving out there, because we're in that process right now in construction. So if we're going to make the change, we have to make the change now.
Yep.
And so we've already made that change, and, here pretty quick, we'll be constructing 14 inches of concrete pavement, whereas we was only doing 9 before. As far as the weigh station and what the county wants to do, working with DPS to see what their needs are, anything 30 foot outside, or outside the clear zone of our frontage road, that we're really going to leave that up to the county and DPS. And we'll have to have a joint use agreement once, y'all kind of figure out what you want to do. And then we can kind of spell out, what the county is going to do and what the state's going to do at that point. And I assume we probably have to have something, an interagency with DPS as well.
Yeah.
But, really that's going to be up to the county and how much, you want to do. Talking with DPS, it sounds like, whatever you do, they're going to go out there and do some operations. But however much this county wants to invest in this, it sounds like, they'll commit, resources, based on what the county is willing to do.
So the actual, okay, where the building, the scale, the covered area, the pit, I've heard this pit talked about a few times, that's going to be on us to put all that up, or?
Correct.
Like the slab, the concrete and everything, we're going to do that.
Correct.
So you're going to build a 14-inch thick slab to get traffic off the highway. But you're
On the
not-
frontage road.
But you're not going to build the slab where this thing's going to sit.
Not where the building and your pit and all that would be. I've been talking with district staff, obviously, it's, about rebuilding the old frontage road that we was going to leave in place, for the county to use. If, the county is going to proceed with, trying to build a full-time facility in the future, not necessarily now, then, we're looking at trying to rebuild that frontage road, that portion that we was going to leave. It's just, a little bit of hot mix and base. Wouldn't last very long if we go in and build a full-time facility, because literally almost every southbound truck would be coming through there, and that wouldn't last, no time. So we're looking at making that investment because it's safety. If we can get these trucks inspected coming into Texas, it's a huge safety improvement, for the state of Texas. Most of those trucks are headed down to the Metroplex, and so that's an investment the state's willing to make, if the county's, wanting to proceed, with making an investment, to put in a weigh station.
Gotcha. And we appreciate that
I
effort
want
on their part.
to spin off Leon's question or dig into it just a little bit deeper. The road that would actually come off the highway and go across the scale, you won't do that. That's part of the station.
Well, we're going to beef up the frontage road from where they would exit, southbound all the way to where they're going to enter back on a 35. It's over a half a mile.
But that loop that will no longer be really frontage road for everybody to use, right? That will be specifically for the trucks to come off,
Right.
enter the scale, and go out to the side.
Right, and then that's what I'm talking about, that, we're willing to make that investment to rebuild that. It's a little over $1 million to rebuild that old portion of that frontage road that we was going to leave in place for the county to use.
So if I interpret that safely to say that that's going to be the concrete approach to the scales and the exit out of there, I'm correct in my assessment?
Correct, that'd be the 24-foot roadway. It'll take you off the new frontage road we're building. It'll come around, it's where it's at existing. We're basically going to put the new frontage road right through the southbound rest area where it used to be. That's where the new frontage road's going to go. And then we're going to rebuild that old frontage road that you would use for the scales, that you'd use for access to the pits and all that. So, what the county would be responsible for would be, basically the parking, everything between that, the two frontage roads, you're going to call it that, and the building, the pits, that would be up to the county.
But like if you pull them out of service, or not you, DPS takes them out of service, we got to park them,
Yeah.
that's on us. That's
Correct.
what I'm
Well, the
hearing.
whole area where the scales, the pit, the parking, all they're gonna build is the entrance and the exit and the service road.
Well, but the road that goes across those scales is going to be concrete. I mean, up to those scales, they're going to build that.
Are you gonna build the road up to the scales?
We'll rebuild the old frontage road that would take you completely into what you're doing coming out. I don't know where your scales are going to be.
I don't know either.
That's what y'all are going to have to
Yeah.
work with DPS on. They had talked about in our one meeting, we discussed it, about having some advanced scales that would be out on the actual frontage road. And so they can actually weigh them as they're coming in. And then if, I guess, one flags, then they can go ahead and pull them into the facility. If they go across the weigh in motion scales and they don't really see an issue, then they would just keep them going down the frontage road and they'd get back on 35.
See, that's I'm interpreting, basically the scales are going to be in the front road, be built in by textile.
Well,
Well,
We got about a scale, but
But
Right.
you're gonna be putting in 14 inches of concrete.
no, not what I'm hearing.
No, we'll build the road to get in and out of the place.
Well,
Across the scales, because the
Right.
scales, they're going to, as I understand, Mike, they're going to cross the scales before they ever get to the inspection station.
And I don't know what all's involved in the scales. I mean, that would, now, as far as the scales and all that, that would be county. Yes, I don't want to talk for DPS, but what I mentioned is they've gotten grants to do some of this work, so imagine if the county, maybe we want to look into, they would probably look at trying to get the technology out there is, it's not that, I think they can put loops and stuff, they can do things to put scales.
What I'm hearing is you got two concrete roads, you got an island between. Island.
how big will that have to be? We have trouble getting on board with building a little.
Well,
I know.
have anybody from or infrared, it's infrared system that would check for breaks and those kind of anomalies. But we would still be responsible for the scales themselves, which their thought was the best scale out there is about $50,000. There's cheaper ones that you can get for about 25 or 30, but they were recommending that. They did want a pit for inspection purposes, so yes, the pit would probably have to be outside of the lane where they're weighing.
that'd be when they pull them out of service.
When they pull them out of service.
Do on level 1.
Yeah.
So it would be.
They have to pull them off to the side.
So would there be a significant commitment on the county's part? There certainly would be, but I spoke with two other county judges that have recently had one. They are Chris Kutcher in Guadalupe and Ben Schuhart in Medina. And both of them said that, and they've had them for 5 or 6 years now, but both of them said that the cost, and of course they're related with oil field, and we are too, that the actual cost of maintaining some of their county roads has gone down significantly because of the fact that they're catching and diverting overweight trucks coming into the county. And of course, there's also the safety issue for the citizens within the county that need to be considered. This latest infrared equipment allows them to recognize a brake that is not functioning on a truck immediately. And nobody wants an 18-wheeler running down the road without brakes. That's kind of scary.
Like catching hot bearings and all that too.
Yeah, they catch hot bearings, the whole 9 yards. So it's a significant safety issue, I think, that could be improved in our county should we move forward with it. So, but yeah, we need more information, and I know Mike can't get it to us. It's going to have to be DPS, but we need to know exactly what the expectations are for them to put in, as we talked before, a full-time system. And as I understand it, there would only be one DPS officer there. And in their opinion, it would probably be a dedicated one if it was a full-time service. And the other people operating in the system would be paid for by DPS also, but they would be civilian contractors operating some of the internal equipment.
When do you think you're going to be through with 35? This part,
This part,
this
well,
part up in Cooke County. In
it's,
Cooke
you know, it's being built in phases.
Yeah.
We'll be building the first part of the new frontage road in front of where this proposed facility would be. You know, we're working on it right now, you know,
Yeah.
starting to do the dirt work and all that. That's why if we was going to do something, we had to do it now.
Yeah.
You know, so we made that happen, and so we're making the frontage roads, reinforcing the frontage roads in front of the facility. You know, I guess as far as the new frontage road that we're proposing to build for y'all, you know, I guess we just kind of asked, you know, for a resolution from the county that, yes, we want to, you know, we want to proceed with, you know, not commit to exactly what you're going to build, but yes, you want to proceed with to doing it. And then that would help us to, you know, to use the funding, say we're going to rebuild this old frontage road around here for the county's purpose of a way station in the future. So,
You got any ideal timeline-wise when we might actually start and finish this? In other words, I know you got the construction,
Yeah.
it sounds like you're placed right into your
yeah,
construction.
we're 3 years right now from completing the project. Obviously, getting the frontage roads, you know, we're building out first, you know, so we're probably a year and a half, 2 years to having that area completed.
But at what point in time do you anticipate we could start the scales? But does that have to wait till the end, or would it fall right in line with?
Ideally, yeah, we'd want to wait till we don't have a bunch of concrete barrier and all that out there, where we have that frontage road complete.
That's
And
why.
ideally, it'd be nice to have the southbound lanes complete, because, you know, we're going to have, you know, detours and stuff out there and switching them around. You know, I would think we're a couple of years out before we'd be able to do that.
That's why I asked, when do you think the highway will be finished? Because you're probably not going to use it much until, or be able to, until you're through. So you're 3 years out probably.
Right. Yeah, I would say before just you could be fully operational, you're probably 3 years at least. And then that gives y'all time for planning and stuff.
How quickly do you need a resolution from us, Mike, in order to reinforce those two roads?
Well, we're doing the frontage road kind of on our own, just based on, you know, our discussions we've had. You know, I think the county DPS, at a minimum, we're going to reinforce the frontage road, and that way DPS has somewhere to pull trucks off. You know, they can put their portable scales out there on that old road. It won't last long. But as far as that other portion, if, you know, y'all talk about it, get a little more information in a few months. We're not having to, you know, that work is not being done immediately. So,
Gotcha.
so we have several months if y'all want to talk about it more.
DPS slipped in behind you.
Yeah.
Huh?
DPS has slipped in behind you.
They always do.
He's the one with all the answers and no money.
Any other questions for Mike? Thank you so much.
No, Mike, you did a fine job.
Ryan's going to buy your lunch, I think. Ryan, can we speak to you?
Yeah, I had a problem logging in, they said, so.
Okay, well, hopefully you can,
Well, I'll tell you what I know, it's gonna be an Austin call, but yeah, whatever question y'all have, and I
Okay.
can help you out.
the first question is that Mike was saying that the frontage road, entry road will be reinforced by the TxDOT. Great, we appreciate you doing that. Now, the infrastructure within that is on the county. Our question is there a minimum requirement by the state of what that infrastructure should be? I went through Guadalupe, and I'm not trying to say we'll shortcut this at all. We would like to put in a good facility if we move forward. But they had a portable building, office building, and they even had a portable potty outside, and they were bringing in their own water supply. And now they did concrete, but they told me that they thought it was 9-inch concrete. But the bottom line is do we have a specification of how big the offices need to be, how big the covered area, how big the pit will be, and specifications on it, so we could go out and get a rough estimate of what the collective cost would be?
course, I'm just a local sergeant, so this is going to come from Austin.
Right.
There's a Major Nordlow, who y'all talked to, I believe,
We
last
did.
time. He can definitely fill you in on the exact dimensions of, or estimates, or however y'all need to do. I know there are going to be full-time employees out there, so of course,
Oh, there we go.
Do we have
Hey,
something?
Ryan, I'm gonna text you Norlow's number. If you call him, he said you can put him on speakerphone and answer any questions. He's having a hard time talking to you.
okay, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But there will be full-time employees out there, so restrooms would definitely be beneficial, of course.
Well, we won't have the issue Guadalupe yet, because we've got water somewhere out there.
Yeah.
Across the street.
From the old rest areas, right?
Yeah, maybe we can buy water from Peak over there. Just have to do a road bore. If we could put it in before we get the road in, maybe.
There's nothing on the south side at all?
Huh?
There's nothing on the south side at all? On the southbound side?
I would think there's water there since there was already rest area.
Let's say they had,
Ms. Major Norlow? Yeah, it's Sergeant Mosby. I'm here with the commissioners right now. Okay, I think they have a few questions, y'all.
If you want to just put your phone up there, you're welcome. Hi, this is Judge Starnes. Who are we speaking to? Oh, hi, Major. Good to talk to you again. The question that we have is, and TxDOT's here and they explain to us what they're doing and what they're willing to do for us. But our question is, the actual building to house the offices, the pit, the surface that is required for the parking of trucks. Do you guys have any standards that we would need to follow? And where I'm leading to with this is we need to get a rough estimate from some contractors so we have a ballpark figure so we can work with it in our budget next year should we decide to go forward. Do you have any kind of specifications that we could look at?
You still there, Major?
Won't be so windy next time.
I've been fighting Verizon all week.
Hi, Major, Sergeant Mosby. Okay. Did you hear any of those questions?
He asked, it's hard to do it, asked about if we have any designs that they could go by and look at.
Yes, sir.
So we could, I can email some stuff to you that we would want. TxDOT actually has a design team firm that they use to do construction of this. And they use that firm to look at Mount Pleasant and help us out with the design of the Seguin facility. So in that one, design team gave several options for the county to look at, each one having a different level of parking, different amount of pavement or concrete. So then the county can have an educated guess as to how much they want to budget.
Perfect. That's what
Does
we're,
that make sense?
yes, sir. That's what we're looking for as well.
So TxDOT has them on the thing, I forget the name of the group, but I can send you the designs for one, a few that I have in my computer. But they'll give you an idea. And if you're reaching out to Guadalupe County would also be very helpful for you, that they could give you an idea of what it took to get in. And the building, of course, the building came in over time, it came in a long time ago. That was a facility that was built over time in conjunction with Guadalupe County.
Okay, that'd be great. But to your knowledge, there's no specific requirements for X number of inches of concrete on the parking area or X number of inches of concrete on the pit or is that?
That would be on, so I don't think TxDOT is an expert on pits, but they probably do have them somewhere.
Okay.
But, when it comes down to, there's no one standard. If you go to, out to Colorado City, they're building, county's building a facility there on I-20, and they're using crushed pavement on their entries. I don't know if that's the best way to go, but that's the way they're going. But if you go to New Waverly, I won't say the concrete there is it's 8 or 10 inches thick, and it may withstand continued use by heavy equipment.
Right.
I don't know if there's enough standard. I know that whatever design is done, have to be approved by TxDOT, by their district engineer.
If you would send us what you do have, that would be great for us to take a look at, and we'll reach out to this engineering firm too and see if there's anything they would be willing to give us for free.
Okay?
But he's saying TxDOT engineer, the local engineer can give us what we need for the staging area, is what I'm hearing.
It would have to be designed, I mean, that's where you're gonna get into an architectural.
That question's for me, I can't hear it.
I mean, they would have to design that. I mean, you could build it with flex space, and it would last, but for a while, you just have to maintain it, so.
You want to step up here just in case he can't hear you, Mike?
Yeah. The question, Major, was we were asking TxDOT. Commissioner Hollowell thought that you said something about they would understand what the specifications would be, but you were actually referring us to an engineering group, and then the final approval would come from TxDOT, but TxDOT doesn't have current specifications associated with it.
They don't. They're gonna have certain aspects that they're gonna need to ensure, like the length of the entrance to the exit needs to be adequate, so it doesn't endanger motoring public when the trucks come back onto the highway.
Yeah.
Because they'll have certain standards that they have for the roadway itself, and I don't think they have a one single standard either.
So,
We don't know. So the state actually hasn't built a facility since NAFTA, when we were given a certain amount of money from the federal government to establish our border state inspection facilities to check trucks coming in from Mexico into Texas. Across the state, though, we just don't have one standard because the counties are the ones who do the heavy lifting on a lot of these places. Not wrong or indifferent, we just don't get funded by the legislature to do this type of construction.
yeah. So if we decided hypothetically to put in 10 inches of crushed rock for the parking area, that if TxDOT engineering approved that that would be okay?
It would. It would, just keep in mind that we can't crawl, when we load ones on rock, we install a pit, and that's just an area for parking. And y'all think it's gonna be durable enough, then it would work.
Yeah. Yeah,
You got to reinforce and concrete that pit.
You're not gonna take a brand-new 6-lane concrete highway and put a crushed rock parking area on the side of it. That's.
Well, I don't know why I
You're gonna
wouldn't
have
do
to
that. I mean,
I wouldn't
have
agree
no
with
reservation
that.
at all about
We're-
that.
that wasn't a recommendation, that was
I
a
know.
hypothetical
I know it's
question of how much
hypothetical.
latitude we have
Yeah.
in the construction.
What about timeline for commitment on this? Could you hear me?
Judge, you're going to have to repeat it for me.
That's gonna be,
Yes, Major, the question was from Commissioner Clement, what the timeline was for us to make a commitment.
well, it's wholly up to you, to the county, or how fast, how quickly you make that work. Yeah, once we have that facility, then we'll look at our manpower and see what adjustments we need to make within the state to operate it frequently. So that's not a very, that's not a real tight timeline for us. That's kind of easy.
Okay.
Right.
That's if you're asking about that.
Well-
Construction though, then it's just completely up to the county.
Well, the concern was, I think, and I don't want to speak for Commissioner Clement, but we had spoken earlier about grants that you were going to file for that would allow you to buy electronic equipment and whatnot. Is there any timeline that if we don't make a commitment that you might miss a window to get that grant? Or
No,
grant?
because it's AQ.
Gotcha.
Not the current one that we're asking for, it'll be in the future. So no, and those grants, when we get them, those are what we call an IPD grant. And they're actually good for 4 years. So we have 4 years, and once we're funded, we have 4 years to establish that,
Perfect.
to use the money. Versus some grants that are only 2 years. We got to spend the money. This one's 4 years for the IPD grant. That's how we buy our technology, big stuff, the WAN codes, lots of stuff, things like that.
Perfect.
Sounds like they would buy that, but we wouldn't have to.
They do, they buy all that. And let me ask you that question from our previous meeting. From an electronic standpoint, the only obligation that the county would have would be for the scales themselves, which the latest scales run about $50,000.
again, that's another good question for Redistricting County. They're the ones who installed the last set that we had, the latest, and they bought the high-end, they bought a 70-foot platform scale as opposed to 30-foot. The difference is that on a 30-foot scale, we bring in the steering axle, we right the way down, then we move the truck up, we stop it, with the drive axles, we right the way down, then we pull the trailer up, right the way down, and we do math.
Yeah.
To see if it's overweight. This scale that they installed, and they did too, they did eastbound and westbound. Actually, the whole truck pulls up on the scale at one time, and the computer does all the math for you. Pretty neat. It's 5 speed.
Cool.
But is that
I
55?
don't want to say it's about 50,000, but that, again, I think it's what they asked for Washington County.
Okay. Other questions for the major?
It sounds like there's not a lot of restrictions, portable building and all that too. Not that we want to do something like that, but we could to get it rolling.
Well, like I said, I don't.
We have a lot of those out there. A lot of them. It's more like a modular building than I would say a mobile building.
Yeah.
But they do move it out there and drop it in place and tie it down, put the skirting around it.
Yeah, I looked at
That's
one.
pretty common.
Shelley, you had a question. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I looked
I
at,
believe we talked about this last time.
we did, but we kind of wanted the whole court to hear firsthand, and have them be able to ask their questions as well. So we really appreciate you taking the time today. I know you're busy.
No problem. I wish I could go. I know that a flooding issue at the house. I was trying to work from home to get that done, and I couldn't access the Zoom meeting. Password wasn't right or something. So I apologize. I'm on the speakerphone.
No worries. Any other questions for the major? Anyone? All right, Major, if you'll send me what you have, that'd be great, and we'll start with that from trying to come up with an estimate to budget for in the future.
Okay, make sure that I've got your email address. I'm sure it's in the embedded email.
If you don't, you can always send it to Ryan. He has my email.
Ryan Mosby.
Yes.
Okay.
He does a great job down here for us, Major.
I'll send it to Ryan.
All right.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I mean, the only example, I had an example, I don't know from where it was, but it was a 3-pit facility with a 24 to 30 building. You know, I drew it up, you know, put it in with our plans to see, can I fit this between the 2 concrete roadways? And it fits in there, it's tight, you know, and based on the example, you know, plans that I was looking at, you know, we've got the room to do what that one set of plans showed, so.
All right. Could you send that to me as well?
Yeah, I can draw it up and just, you know, kind of clip it out and say, you know, conceptually, this is what you could build. But obviously, you know, I would think DPS needs to look at it and say, yeah, that'll work, or no, that we need more space. You know, that's what I don't know exactly what their needs are, you know.
Right.
It would help us to understand how big that island is, that cavity that we got to fill with crushed rock or concrete or whatever it is, so we can do some cost numbers, I would think, right?
Right, yeah, how big do you need? My problem is I don't know where you would need to put the pits, because our site's a lot longer than some of these the example that I've got, it's actually built somewhere. So ours is a lot longer, our island is, and I don't know if we'd want to move the pits more to the middle. Right now, I kind of stuck them towards the end so they could just pull out and, you know, get on a frontage road. I don't know what's you know, what's ideal.
Yeah, do we need to route his concept through Ryan back to the major? Because, I mean, we wouldn't want to go with his suggestion without.
No, if somebody's going to have to approve it. I imagine the major, he's the one, or is there a other group that approves it?
Text dot.
They say so.
Yeah.
I mean, if he routed, it doesn't cost us anything once we put it together to route it and see if the concept works, and before we started running numbers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to do all that and find out.
Find out that it won't meet their needs. That's
And if
what
they're
I mean.
wanting, if DPS is wanting to invest in the full-time staff, you know, what is the minimum that you've got to do for them to do that? You know, it's pretty tight with 3 bays, you know, and I don't know about the 24 to 30 building, you know, that everything's adding that width, and we've got limited width, so.
Like I said, we need to get a look at yours before we start doing numbers.
I'll get something drawn up, I'll send it to the judge, and y'all can look at it.
Thanks, Mike, I appreciate it. Okay, item number 7, to deliberate and consider possible action regarding proposed weight station on I-35. We're going to take no action. Number 8, deliberate and consider possible approval of update to Cooke County subdivision regulations. What do you got there, Commissioner?
I put this on here, had an issue at the real nice RV park going in the Lake Ray Roberts P&Z. And we need to clarify, I'm trying to pull up the exact spot. I needed y'all's help for the wording. We need to, it just says base. Where I had these people bring in like base dirt, and they chip sealed on top of dirt. And it sunk the very next day after it rained with half-ton pickups on it. So we need to put the word rocks in.
What page are you on?
I'm trying to find it.
Oh, I
What's
thought
the
you had it.
compaction section, because doesn't that speak specifically to rock?
But it doesn't speak,
Because I didn't see anything.
yeah, I put in a bunch of pages because there's so much of it here.
I know we've got.
So it talks about on page 199, says a sub-base material must be clean material compacted in 8-inch layers with a plasticity index of 8 to 35. Compaction shall be no less than 98%. And then but it doesn't say rock. I mean, these people brought in base dirt.
Does that meet all the plasticity stuff, though? Can they do that with dirt? That's the problem with these subdivision guidelines, got to have an engineer to interpret them.
Yeah.
That's
I'd
just
like to put in there where we've got some rock in there, just,
Well,
because I'm dealing with this, and then they're like, well, how thick does it need to be when it's compacted? I'm like, it doesn't even say that. I mean, you can get the
no
top
less than 6
1 inch
inches.
we have a
compacted.
road expert with us, Mike, can we quiz you a little bit about this?
That's a perfect time to have him here.
But believe it or not, back in 1970, I worked on a road crew, and I actually did the shoulders. And at that time, the specification they required for shoulders was for it to be 18 inches deep and for the compaction to be 150 pounds per square inch. And the state would come out and they would bore a hole 18 inches and then send it off to test it. And as I understood it back then, is that actually concrete's 175 pounds per square foot. So, getting it to 150 is pretty sporty, but it makes for a heck of a base. And back in those days, they didn't concrete shoulders. It was simply this process of getting that compaction, and then they threw asphalt on top of it. I don't know, what's the process now, or do you know, Mike?
Well, what you described, you said sub-base, right?
Yeah, so,
Okay, sub-base would be your dirt and your embankment, and the number you're describing is typical, clay soils and stuff.
then we
So
don't,
It sounds like that's your dirt subgrade, but they should be coming back in with a base, which would typically be a flex base.
And we-
Then they're going to prime it and do a 2-quart or 1 or 2-quart surface street.
and so that's what we're missing. We don't even have it. It talks about the sub-base. They don't have anything that talks about the top layer of rock before they chip seal it. So
Well, we do. The paving requirements, that number C, the base course of the roadway section shall be a minimum width of 26 feet, crushed stone at a depth of 6 inches.
Where you at, Leon?
Page 62,
Where are you on our agenda?
199 going to 200, at section 7, subdivision design standards. Subgrade shall be lime stabilized to a depth of 6 inches. That's for chipping a road, but
No, but this, it so happened they chipped it.
I know, but that's road construction standards H, go all the way to the end.
Right, okay, that's
Item
where.
C. We have on there, they're supposed to put 6 inches of rock.
Okay, so it's just in a different,
Spot.
so they got the subgrade and then they got the top, they got the sub-base and then the subgrade.
Yeah. So they're telling you that the sub-base is the base, but it's not supposed to be, it's supposed to.
Yeah, well, the one problem, these people did not, this specific case that I did have, they didn't even read the subdivision regulations.
Oh.
So I shut them down, but it was hard. I was getting I was struggling on how, they're like, well, how thick does it have to be once it's compacted? I'm like, well, I guess I wasn't reading to the next page, so.
Well, I am.
So we
reading
do
this.
have crushed stone.
I'm reading it right.
Yeah,
aren't I?
depth of
Yeah.
6 inches.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we're okay then. It just seemed like to me, I was hanging up in number 1 there on H1. I was
Yeah.
hanging up there saying we needed to go a little further, but that's below it. So basically what they did was they stopped it at B with low compaction, and he laid chip seal on top of it.
It didn't look like they had compacted the
Oh, it was
subdivision.
terrible. It was
The pictures that you showed.
my pickup, half-ton pickup was sinking 6 inches, and they're gonna try to pull motor homes and buses on this thing. It was gonna sink into the ground, like, they're gonna get stuck. That's after one little half-inch rain. So I think we're okay then. Sometimes it's better to bring it in here, let's talk about it, because I can't talk about it individually out there with you, so.
So do we need, are you going to communicate with the owner of the subdivision and then let him get back to the contractor with the?
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna reach back out to them today, and,
You don't think they even read the subdivision?
no, I know they didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, and, and in our RV subdivision, in our RV regulations, it states to refer back to the subdivision regulations for the road standards. And the only difference is that their one-way roads are 20 foot and the two-way roads are the 24. So they say 26. No. Well, we always talk about 24-foot roads, and this says 26. Is it 20, and it doesn't say 24-foot paved part. We've got some, we've got a few little discrepancies in here. Am I wrong there? I'm showing 26, and we always talk about it being 24-foot driving surface.
RV regs at 24.
Okay, and the regular subdivision is 26? Okay. Okay, well, I guess I'm good. Just little interpretation issues here. So we can do no action on this one.
Good discussion, though.
Yeah. Never hurts to bounce it around.
Okay. Number 8, deliberate and consider possible approval of update to Cooke County subdivision regulations, no actions. Item 9, 10, and 11 have already been discussed. Item number 12, deliberate and consider possible action regarding annex, award of RFP for second floor remodel. I think everyone has that in their packet. It is $987,000 from Joe R. Jones.
Well, you have to add in the contingency.
Oh, yeah, and 987 plus 49,350. There was a couple of letters of recommendations from other counties concerning this construction company.
I thought we had used them before, but I can't remember for what.
They were a sub on the renovation of the courthouse.
Okay.
Both proposers
Yeah.
were subs on the renovation of the courthouse.
So you didn't have to score anybody.
Didn't have to.
So what
You could have just for fun.
counties? Say that again?
Yeah, there's a letter
The
of
architect
recommendation
did.
from 2
Oh,
other
did he?
counties in here, very highly recommending them.
And what's nice, it looks like a 100-day completion. We might actually get to do March primaries.
So they,
Pam?
the other one didn't even respond at all?
They've responded, but they didn't do it correctly, so they are non-responsive. We can't accept it. They didn't do it right.
How could they not do it right? That's interesting.
I'd make the motion that we accept and move forward.
I have a motion to accept the proposal from Joe R. Jones Construction Company for the remodeling of the annex. at $987,000 plus $49,350 from Commissioner Hollowell.
And the 49,350 for clarification is contingency money in case there's a change, as I understand it.
Definitely came in a lot cheaper than I thought it was going to.
Yeah, that's a lot cheaper than I thought too.
I have a question, or should I wait till you get a second? I'm reading through all this segregated cost schedule. What does other cover? Yeah, staircase zero, rough carpentry, so many thousands of dollars, and it breaks it all down. And other is the biggie. What does other cover?
Yeah, that's 300 and something.
That's 370. What does other include?
Everything not specified. That's right, you got a contingency number up there.
In other words, change orders, is that what other covers?
Who knows? Yeah.
I'm just curious. That just struck me as odd. I've never seen it listed as other before.
How much did we budget?
$1.5 million. $1,036,350, so.
400,000 less than we budgeted.
And I thought it was going to come in 500,000 over what we budgeted, so just to say what's on my mind.
It'd been 2 million.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I really thought it was going to come in bump in that area just from what construction costs have seemed to be costing.
That's what's worrying me about the other.
That's it.
Would that be permits and
I'm assuming,
PDL?
Normally they break it down a little more, it's just kind of other. See how much other there is.
I don't know that we've ever had one, didn't have an other.
I don't
I
know.
believe that the other one that was presented incorrectly also had another of a pretty significant.
Another other? It had another other?
Had another other.
Oh, man.
In order to get a vote, I'll make a second to accept the award of the RFP for the second floor remodel to Joe R. Jones Construction Incorporated at a cost of $987,000 plus a contingency of $49,350. Any further discussion?
I'll just say that since the bids came in way less than I thought, that, and we're so far into it with engineering costs and all that, it's probably the best thing to move forward with it.
How much do we have in engineering cost here, or architectural? 100 and,
Yeah, it's over 100,000 in sunk costs.
Yep, six figures.
that's 100 and, it's 130. I don't know why that rings a bell.
111.
111, okay.
Which is insane.
Yep, we're in the wrong business.
We are in the, yeah, it's 100%.
Any further discussion on the annex?
Which puts it about 10%.
Yeah, which is what you said it does, yeah.
Yeah.
It just blows my mind.
Don't give me to drink.
Okay.
So in the 100 days, is there any, if they go over, is there any penalties or anything like that?
That would probably be up to us, but
Yeah, well, I
we
don't-
didn't put that in the,
No, I don't believe there is.
We typically hadn't held anybody accountable with that.
Yeah.
Always first.
If it's not in the specs, then there's not.
And there's always a force majeure clause for unforeseen things such as weather and COVID.
No disclosure clause. They find something, you can't hold them to it.
it'll definitely cure up the JP issues and the voting issues and the voted storage issues and all that.
And there's a lot of benefit to it.
Yeah, even though
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Hollowell and a second by Judge Starnes to accept the award of the RFP for the second floor to Construction Company Jones. If no further discussion, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, item number 13, deliberate and consider possible actions regarding county radio communication system. And the last is followed up. Any update, Gary?
We had some conversation, I believe, last quarter about the survey and where our surveyor surveyed and what we actually leased and where they came out and done some work to, they done a survey as to where to put the tower itself. They were about 60 foot off. So without having to do environmental studies and stuff again, we were able to locate the tower still inside our lease, but not centered. So it's going to be in the corner of the fence. I don't see any issues with that. We talked about a UHF antenna and being able to leave a UHF antenna on Rice Avenue. We've confirmed that there is indeed a UHF antenna on Rice Avenue. We talked about leaving an additional or an extra VHF antenna out there for future expansion. That presents a problem if we want to go do that, because where all the antennas and stuff are positioned, that would require a remediation of that tower at about $20,000, and I figured you guys really wanted to spend $20K to remediate something just in case we might need it in the future. I think our goal was to get the UHF so we could move our pager systems, and that's still there. One of the next projects is going to be understand how we want to program the radios to meet our needs. Probably going to get with the sheriff and/or his designee, probably Fletcher, and I don't know who else might want in on it, to decide frequencies and orders. And it's probably going to differ now. Right now, all the county radios, the first 15 or 16 channels are pretty much identical. Probably we'll do this a little different, where the sheriff's office will have a zone for the 700 stuff with surrounding counties, stuff of that nature. And then fire may do something a little different. But they're putting the cabinets together to go into the sheriff's office. That's happening at Shipment Communications. Mid-November, they plan to start the indoor electrical work at Rice and Pentex. Still working with NOAA to fix their interference issue at Pentex. They think they'll have everything staged now late December with construction mid-January. When they actually start construction, they think it's a 2-week process on the towers. We're still waiting on interlocal agreement but with Denton County. That's been delayed because they were doing interlocals for all the other folks who are supporting the city of Louisville and stuff of that nature. Leon, I got to know here, no county work at the site until after, sounds like till after, ultimately they get the pillars put in.
Really?
Because they're going to do a bunch of trenching and do a bunch of grounding, stuff of that nature. And obviously they don't need rock on it.
They don't want anything there until they're through.
Okay.
Well, that's good.
And that 88-foot road is shortened to virtually nothing.
No, it's just the pad. The cows haven't pushed out all the stakes yet, have they?
Well, now then the metal stakes are there, so.
Oh, okay.
And the metal stakes were there all along, they just didn't know about
Now,
it.
they didn't know where they were.
Yeah. So, and they thought that they beat our surveyor out there, and our surveyor was out there in July, and they were out there.
That's what the little steel pin was that was, okay.
And the ones you and I are looking for is a steel pin with the orange cap.
I found 2 of those that day, but then there was wooden stakes all around them, so that's.
Oh, yeah, that's confusing.
That's what it was all about.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but where you saw the 3 in a diamond shape.
Yeah, that's where it's going to be.
No, that's not where it's going. That's where they missed, and it comes north I'm sorry, comes south and west about 50 or 60 foot.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
You guys got any questions? I prompt any questions from you guys?
I don't have anything.
No Christmas present.
Maybe Valentine's Day?
Who knows? You know. That's all I have, unless you guys have something for me to address or question for now.
Anything else on radio communication system? Then we'll take note. I'm sorry.
Once we start, what do they project now?
I'm sorry. That's
Once
gotta-
we start, when do they think they'll finish?
They think they could tire up in 2 weeks, and they're already doing the electrical stuff. I mean, they're building the cabinets to put in the sheriff's
Yeah.
office, they're doing the electrical work. Well, they're putting the cabinets to go, the consoles and stuff
Yeah.
for the sheriff's office. They will start doing the electrical work inside Pentex, setting up for their shelving mid-November for Pentex and Rice.
So within 6 months, they'd probably be finished?
Yeah,
Maybe.
we hope. No, I think that the towers in this case is gonna be the last of it.
No.
I say, once they get it staged, get it in place, and
Yeah, it goes fast.
I've got like I said, there's a considerable amount of hardware stored at the precinct 1 facility, and more coming, so.
No further discussion on item 13. We'll take no action on county radio communication system. Item 14, deliberate and consider possible actions regarding various grant funds. Anything going on there, Shelley?
The FEMA 2015 flood,
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
I will have County Road 410 and County Road 374 ready to go possibly by the end of today. I had some corrections on County Road 374 that Amber needs to do on the paperwork. On the same request for reimbursement for precinct 4, I had to send in an additional clear check. So hopefully that reimbursement will be finalized and precinct 4 will get some more money. I believe we have a meeting tomorrow with them,
Yes.
so.
So a little more explanation. So out of a whole year's or a whole road project, a stack of paperwork, 2 foot thick, that they had, they couldn't find one clear check, so they call our auditor to find the one clear check for them. So she spends a good portion of her time looking for things that they already have, which kind of interesting.
And I have till the end of December to submit the FEMA 2020 COVID. Nothing yet on the CTIFs. I have till the end of the year to do the elections. And then I sent y'all some information on the ARPA. I don't know if anybody had a chance to look at that yet or not. The usages, 6 different usages, and then they break down within those 6.
So we're pretty limited, we're sort of limited to what we can use ARPA money for.
Yes, part of the usage is the county portion to use as they see fit. It's called revenue replacement. We can't put it in the bank and just hold on to it. We have to spend it. But there's a calculation that needs to be done. And then I believe that's where the jail and some local things, renovations,
You've digested enough, we don't have any issues to this point, is
No.
what we,
Don't have any issues, what?
With anything that we've discussed in workshops as to possible usage for the money.
More
But
concerned
we're
anything
just
we've
limited
committed
on
so
how
far.
much.
Anything we committed so far, but I don't know,
I'm not worried about
if
the
we get
plan.
a second 4 million, I don't know if we can just go use all that for a jail. That's,
Yeah.
Well, I don't anticipate our lost revenue being that much, no.
so you're saying the only thing we use on something like a jail or an add-on of an existing facility is going to be the
Up
money-
to our, yes, up
the
to our
money that we
calculation.
lost during the actual
Yes.
disaster.
And if we didn't lose any, then they're giving everybody 4.1%.
Just across the board. So if you can't prove you lost hardly anything, you're going to get 4% of the total. Okay.
So, I mean, we're correctly using it now. They're allowing additional employees to get the courts going, so we have 2 budgeted for that. The premium pay for all essential workers, and then the 2 ambulances, which is for the first one, which was health and safety, I believe. So we're okay right now. It's just figuring out the revenue loss calculation.
Thank you, Shelley. Anything else on grants? Anybody have any questions? Item 15. Future agenda items. Does anybody have anything that we need to put on the agenda for next court? If not, we will go in, no action on future agenda. Now we will go into our special session concerning redistricting. The first action would be deliberate and consider possible approval of an order establishing criteria for redistricting of all county political boundaries. That in your packet, there is an order for establishing the criteria for redistricting. It goes through each one of the criteria that needs to be met. And of course, for our county, we used Allison, Bass, and McGee to go through that and ensure that we were compliant. I make a motion that we accept the order establishing criteria for redistricting of political boundaries provided to us by Allison, Bass, and McGee.
And actually, we're authorizing your signature to the document that describes the criteria used, is that
Yes,
correct?
sir, that is correct.
Second.
I have a second from Commissioner Hollowell. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, 5-0. Item 2, deliberate and consider possible approval of finding of facts regarding political boundaries of Cooke County following publication of 2020 census data and entry of order for redistricting of political boundaries.
So move.
I have a motion by Commissioner Clement,
Second.
a second by Commissioner Hollowell. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 5-0. Item 3, open public hearings to receive and provide information, evaluate demographics, and take possible actions regarding redistricting of all county political boundaries. Do we have anyone here to speak to that? I think the maps are out front. Each commissioner, I believe, has a packet with the maps and what the percentage of increase and decrease is. Just for clarification,
You can hold it, Frank.
there you go.
It still doesn't have all the details, Jason, I think, for all the roads that
Yeah, he doesn't. He's working on that for us. But I believe as he blows it up, that he loses the roads. Is that correct?
Yes, all the detail.
So we've got to overcome that.
He needs a better set of maps. You would think somebody who's doing redistricting would have.
I wouldn't swap jobs with him right now with the number of counties he's representing and the number of questions he's filled in. And
Definitely Chalmers and States, which is not roads, but it's just, I was trying to figure out what it
Is it across 39 too?
is. Yeah.
I think you have to, Bo.
Yeah.
I don't think you have a road
No
over it,
roads in there.
but it does
That's all
cross.
city, isn't it?
Yeah.
So many roads do you think you picked up?
Probably
What?
5 miles.
5 miles.
Yeah, you and I picked up about 10 miles. Well, no, I'm the one who picked up. You just swapped me 5 miles for his 5 miles. So,
I gotta drive a way longer ways.
That's the problem I see.
I gotta bring all the equipment through town,
So far.
you know?
yeah, how far away is that from your barn?
Oh. 20 miles.
I bet.
For clarification for the public and for the media, and you may already know this, and so I may be just repeating information, but the reasoning for the redistricting is there is a state statute that requires us to be no greater than a 2.07% deviation, and we were currently at 18.66. So what Allison Bass and McGee did for us is they redistricted it as practical as possible, trying to maintain voting districts to get the necessary populations divided in a way for the 4 precincts for commissioners that would not exceed the 2.07 criteria. And these are the maps that they came up with. And they look very good, actually.
Judge, I'm sorry, but I think that the max deviation is like 8%. With our corrections, we're setting it 2.
I stand corrected. You are correct.
So essentially, I'm picking up another neighborhood in the city over by Tom Thumb. I'm getting the town of Myra.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. I'm getting this for the, we look at these all the time, but if you don't know where everything is, this map isn't the clearest in the world, but I'm picking up the town of Myra. And you're getting
I'm getting a lot of South Gainesville and
southeast.
east southeast of Gainesville.
Yeah.
The simplistic version is each commissioner is supposed to represent 25% of the population. The ideal number is 10,417. And initially, I think precinct 2 was about 1,000 over, and Leon, you were 600 under or something.
That was a little more than that.
So you basically twisted the population to the west and then back to Leon to the north, I believe, so.
Commissioner Hollowell's didn't change at all. Yeah. Yeah, well, I had to gain some, so Art had to take them from 2 because I don't join 2.
And you have to go to where the population is, because if you try to correct it out in the rural, they really have issues with roads.
Yeah.
So,
I know you said that eligibility though, that's what I'm going to do on Friday afternoon.
It's kind of hard to.
You know that beautiful bridge we were talking about this morning? Merry Christmas.
I think we're gonna probably have to talk about moving some funds from 2 to 3 and 4.
I won't
Well, no, not just 2. 1 is staying static, so he's going to have plenty of money.
Yeah.
I got people coming, yeah.
And he's got people building his roads for him, so he's going to have people building roads for him, so.
In my defense, I'm picking up 14 subdivisions that'll have plenty of roads in them. So
You don't have
I'm
to
not
accept.
losing any roads.
Are you accepting all those?
Huh?
Are you accepting all
Well,
those?
I haven't decided on all of them yet, so.
We want to talk about that, we probably can't in this,
Yeah.
but we sure need to regroup that.
Yeah,
rethink
probably
that.
so.
Yeah. Meeting in this,
Do what?
a meeting, we go back and talk about it in subdivisions, that's what we can do.
It was just an afterthought.
All right,
A
we
good
got
one.
nobody for your public hearing, looks like.
Nope. So it is 11:20. We'll close the public hearing. Item 5, deliberate and consider possible approval of order adopting redistricting plan for Commissioner Court precincts.
And I have a question about her. So for the guys that have been around here a long time, I think
What's he mean?
What do you
I'm talking
mean?
about you guys being
Talking about
around
seasoned,
for a
or
long.
what are you talking about?
Experienced.
This wasn't going to get controversial, but it may have to now.
He didn't say really long time, he said a long time.
Well, I expressed this to Kathy. I feel like that the roads that are no longer 2 roads need to be named, whether they go to a 3 or they get named a real name, like the Back 40 Road. I mean, it should be called Back 40 Drive. Otherwise, everybody still think it's a 2 road when they're driving down it.
Okay.
And I know that's a problem with for people who had their addresses a long time, but some of the roads, if you look at like Google, I have Burn City Road, for example, and that's not the slang term that we use for Burn City Road, which is FM 372. Burn City Road is a county road, but then it also has a number too. I think it's like 231 or something. So it has 2 names on Google. So I didn't know how.
Here lies the problem. You still don't fix the situation. What is it that is it 297 goes to bed and breakfast? What goes to bed and breakfast over
298.
there? So you got 298, and because you got the south side of it, you end up maintaining it, and I don't. So you still got a road that you take care of that the people can't vote for you. So it's more going to be a communication issue for you guys, because you're talking about Google Maps.
yeah.
I mean, people had those addresses for 40 years.
TCOG takes care of all that. The problem I have is that people have had the address for 40
Yeah, I mean,
years.
TCOG
Yeah.
will take care of it, but those folks, again, live, y'all remember back when we went to 911 rural addressing? I mean, I started off Route 3, and 6 months later had something else, a different route, and then it became 911.
I wanna
Now
change-
these are all 911 addresses, and,
Well, I had a person that lost their address this last year that inadvertently, when they set it up 60 years ago, it was such and such a road, such a number. And now they came back and decided it wasn't correct. It should have been on the other side of the road. And TCOG took their address away from them. And this person, his business, everything had to be changed. And they were not happy. Now multiply that by about 500.
I agree. I had a person on 902 that had their address shifted a little bit for 911. They were mad.
well, you take,
And I see it.
I mean, Cooke County, a lot of oil business, a lot of folks getting oil checks.
Yes.
And boy, if you go change that with all the division orders and stuff of that, it's so much
Yeah.
bigger than just
Yeah.
whether or not we get a reputation because the guy that inherited our roads doesn't do as good a job.
Yeah.
And you can sort through that pretty quick. They'll know that it's either yours or not yours, I think, Jason.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I
I just-
appreciate your concern, but I think it's a bigger.
And while I'm at it, I want to change 298 to 198.
County Road 316 is out past the old Metters place there, right on the edge of Munster, comes off of 373 and goes straight west. It was a road that's where the lake dam is now.
You've had it for
But-
years, right?
But it's 316, but it's in precinct 4. Now, his side is 316, I guess it is, it's the lake road on the west side. But you can't,
So there's been some issues, especially with me coming in after Mr. Lemons, who was not around when I came in. Like, there's some roads that are already precinct 3 that I've been maintaining that are all 2 number. I thought they were mine. What's going to happen is when somebody calls and says, I can't just say, hey, all the roads with 2 are mine. It'll just be communication.
And that happened with the previous redistricting.
Yeah,
I would
And
think.
I guess it just didn't affect me except for on 2 roads.
In 10 years, it could switch back,
you
Right,
never know.
right.
Yeah.
or move back, or move over.
I mean, it used to be a good rule of thumb. You tell them if you live in a 100 road, that's precinct 1. That's changing now.
That's changing. But boy, to go change all those addresses would really be,
You'd upset some peeps.
yes.
For the media's purpose, we have no intention of changing road numbers.
I
Please
think,
make sure
I
that.
think we pretty much
Okay,
said
all right, this one. Yeah.
that. It's not-
I like Snuggs Boulevard.
We got sympathy in
We
our
got a
hearts
map.
for it, but we're not changing anything.
I'm losing a great constituent right there in the second row. I was going to name his street McNamara Boulevard. So,
There you go.
And he was going to concrete it, but
not anymore.
now you got to see Adam. Keep all his promises.
Do you have anything? McNamara, you have anything you want to comment on? You're just watching?
You happy? That's the first time I've ever noticed that.
Well, we appreciate you coming today.
Oh, we should have asked him on.
He gets Commissioner R and he's happy.
We need to digress a minute. We can do something legal and talk to Chris.
Okay,
So
well,
we're sorry, I got off on tangent.
No.
Everything we always do is legal. The way he said that, it sounded like we need to go do something legal.
I want to talk communications while he's here.
Deliberate and consider possible approval of adopting redistricting plan for Commissioner Court precincts.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion from Commissioner Snuggs to approve and a second from Commissioner Hollowell. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Redistricting is done. Good
Now,
job,
if we back
gentlemen.
up to 13.
Deliberate and consider possible. Okay.
Hey, Chris, what, where are we on our fiber from Lindsay to Rice? What?
So we've got to slow down because another carrier or contractor is located their facilities correctly and then when we come in and locate it themselves. So I'm not sure, as of last week, that hadn't happened yet, so that's us waiting on them to come in.
But with everything we've got moving out, you shouldn't have any problems by November, whatever.
Well,
You're going to get the fiber there before we get the needs.
I think so.
And Denton,
I don't know, I did get some update the other day as they were going back out to get to do something. But, you know, there's 3 other companies besides us involved in that.
and you,
But to my knowledge,
for some reason, you told me you couldn't control all those other 3. I don't know what the deal is.
I cannot.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just thought while you were here, keep me, pick up phone, call me.
It's all moving forward, just slower.
thank you for the update, Chris. Still no action on item 13. We'll resume back down to the bottom of our special session agenda. Item number 6, adjourn.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to adjourn by
Motion to adjourn.
Second. By Commissioner Snuggs, a second by Commissioner Arndt. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. We are adjourned. Thank you for coming, everyone.